The Tigray War is an ongoing civil war that began on 3rd November 2020 in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. The local Tigray Defense Forces are fighting the Ethiopian National Defense Force, the Ethiopian Federal Police, the regional police, and gendarmerie forces of the neighboring Amhara and Afar regions, with the involvement of the Eritrean Defense Forces. All sides have committed war crimes during the conflict. Due to the onset of the war, a deep humanitarian crisis has developed. The Tigray conflict has its roots in tensions that go back generations in Ethiopia. The country is made up of 10 regions and 2 cities that have a substantial amount of autonomy, including regional police and militia. Because of a previous conflict with neighboring Eritrea, there are also a large number of federal troops in Tigray. Regional governments are largely divided along entrenched ethnic lines. Before Abiy Ahmed came to power, the TPLF had governed Ethiopia with an iron grip for decades, overseeing a period of stability and economic growth at the cost of basic civil and political rights. The party's authoritarian law provoked a popular uprising that ultimately forced Abiy's predecessor, Haile Mariam Desalegn, to resign. In 2018, Abiy was appointed by the ruling class to quell tensions and bring change, without upending the old political order. But almost as soon as he became prime minister, Abiy announced the rearrangement of the ruling coalition that the TPLF had founded. The Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Front, or EPRDF, which was composed of 4 parties, into a single New Prosperity Party, ostracizing the TPLF in the process. In his drive for a new pan-Ethiopian political party, Abiy sparked fears in some regions that the country's federal system, which guarantees significant autonomy to ethnically defined states such as Tigray, was under threat. Leaders in Tigray withdrew to their mountainous heartland in the north, where they continued to control their own regional government. Tensions boiled over in September 2020, when the Tigrayans defied Abiy by going ahead with the regional parliamentary elections that he had derailed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Abiy called the vote illegal and lawmakers cut funding to the TPLF leadership, setting off a series of escalations between the regional and federal government. On November 4, 2020, after accusing the TPLF of attacking a federal army base outside the Tigray's region capital Mekelle and attempting to steal its weapons, Abiy ordered a military assault against the group, sending in national troops and fighters from the neighboring region of Amhara, along with soldiers from Eritrea. Ethiopia's government eventually declared a unilateral ceasefire when the Tigrayan forces retook the regional capital Mekelle, but the TPLF categorically ruled out a truce, and the fighting has spread beyond Tigray's borders into the neighboring Amhara and Afar regions. As they have pushed the front line further south, fighters loyal to the TPLF known as Tigray Defense Forces have allied with the Oromo Liberation Army, a rebel group fighting for the rights of people from Oromia, Ethiopia's most populous region. The rapid advance of the fighters, who said they had seized the sea and Kombolcha, the 2 key towns on the road to Addis Ababa, has raised concern among Ethiopia's leaders that the capital could fall. Tigrayan forces battering the Ethiopian government could be poised to seize the country's main trade route, the Djibouti corridor, a top expert on the conflict has said. Will Davison of the International Crisis Group said such a move would put significant economic pressure on the government in Addis Ababa. About 10 days ago now, they took control of the sea and Kombolcha cities, 2 major Amhara cities, and that put them in another significant advance, and that's about 400 kilometers from Addis Ababa. And it looks like the Tigray's leadership next ambitions are either to try and take control of the Djibouti corridor. That would allow them to exert significant economic press, says Will Davison, the International Crisis Group expert on Ethiopia. His comments came after Tigray forces seized the key cities of Dessie and Kombolcha last week and linked up with another armed group, leading the government of Africa's second most populous country to declare a national state of emergency. Meanwhile, the president of Tigray region, Debretsion Gebremichael, said his forces were aiming to destroy the government either by negotiation or by force. By strangling Tigray, the government has denied Tigray access to food and medicine. It has denied the provision of other services too, so that people die because of hunger and disease. In addition to that, it continued with its air bombing. Therefore, because the government is working on its project of decimating Tigray from the face of the earth, we had to destroy the enemy by moving our forces outside of Tigray to crush and break the siege. In the end, this enemy should be destroyed. The war has killed thousands of people since it erupted in November 2020, but with Tigrayan fighters advancing towards the capital, Ethiopia now stands at risk of collapse.
Maximed, link up with the world.